Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. At our Sacramento Bureau, we are joined by Betty Yee. She is the state controller of the Golden State. She is also a new bride. She recently became wed to Steve Jacobs, someone whom I've known since my childhood.
Oh, my goodness.
And I congratulate you on your wedding.
Thank you.
I understand you traveled to Israel.
I did.
How was that trip for you?
You know, Israel is a fascinating country, and I'm so happy that I was able to see it, really on the ground and really having conversations with the people there. It's a wonderful, wonderful country. And just so many of the advances that we are seeing over there could be so instructive to what we're trying to deal with here in California.
In a lot of ways. And when we think about Israel, really the only functioning democracy in the region, lots of questions, obviously.
Sure.
But, I mean, they have made a go at it.
Yes, they have.
There's no question.
Well, no, you look at what they're doing with renewable energy and what they're doing with their water supplies. And just, and sometimes where they look for answers to some of these questions are what some of the ancient technologies were and engineering feats were. So it's fun to just be able to be somewhere where you could see the old and the new really come together to meet challenges.
I want to come back to California, and I want to speak with you about a new program.
Yes.
And this is a program that many of your colleagues have been fighting to see achieved for as long as I've been covering Sacramento. And it deals with what's known as an earned income tax credit.
Yes.
And I'm focused on the state side.
That's right.
And I want you to explain for us, if you may, what is the state earned income tax credit?
Sure. So the state earned income tax credit is a benefit that is eligible for low-income families to come forward and claim. And it was mirrored after the federal earned income tax credit, which was one of the most effective anti-poverty programs. And for working families, this meant putting additional money in their pockets if they qualified based on income and family size.
Why was it important to you and others to have California adopt its own EITC?
Well, from my perspective, Brad, to have California have our own version of the credit means that when we do our outreach and try to find the 600,000 families who are eligible for the state credit, we know that more than likely they will also be eligible for the federal credit, which has been left unclaimed. So they will potentially get a double benefit, and and these amounts can be quite
yes, they can.
Healthy, absolutely.
And so, to simplify, what are the distinctions between the state credit and the federal credit?
The income eligibility levels are different, and the size of the benefit, therefore, is different. So,
what can be challenging for those that are urging those to claim the credit is you need to file a tax return.
You do.
And some of these folks have felt they didn't have the income to file
and in fact,
return.
many of them have not needed to file a return and have never had any interaction with the tax system at all, right? And so what we are doing is working with community-based organizations, other partners who have experience reaching out to this population to urge them to come forward. And the other beauty of this is that most of those who are eligible for the credit are also eligible for free income tax filing assistance. So,
which is VITA.
VITA, exactly.
Tell us about the VITA program.
So the VITA program has hundreds of sites during tax filing season from January through April 15, where low to mid-income Californians can come and have their tax returns filed for free. And we have sites all over the state. We've had great partners. United Way has run hundreds of sites, AARP, some community-based organizations. My own office in Los Angeles is a VITA site. And so this is just really a way where we are offering the service. And what we hope and what we have found is that when they can get assistance for filing their returns the first time, many of them will then know how to file their returns on their own in the future. Or if not, or if they don't have the confidence to do so, those sites will be available next year.
When we call it the EITC, it's a tax credit.
Yes.
What does that mean, credit?
A credit means, and this is a refundable credit, which means they actually get money back in their pocket. So it doesn't matter whether you have a tax liability or not. This is a separate standalone credit that you can claim if you are eligible based on income and family size.
That being said, it's easier to pass a refundable tax credit when the economy is doing well. When the state budget has the cash that our state budget has right now.
Absolutely.
The question becomes, as we look into the future, is there a risk that this new program could cause damage to our state budgets?
Well, the legislature and the governor funded this program at $380 million. So it's quite a healthy sum.
And where does that money come from?
It comes from the general fund.
Okay.
So, and you're absolutely right. When there are pressures on our budget, when the economy experiences a downturn, this program will be reevaluated to see whether ongoing funding can be provided for it.
Does it sunset or?
There's no sunset. Okay. It is subject to an annual Budget Act appropriation.
I see.
So year by year, the legislature will determine and the governor will decide whether this program will get funded each year. I would argue that what we're trying to do is reach the lowest of income families, and during a recession, these are the exact families that we want to help, right?
Right.
And so I would hope that there would be a way to be able to find ongoing funding for this.
So given what you've said, which is we know a lot of folks leave the federal EITC on the table, do we have a sense as to whether, now that we really have a vested interest, given that it's our own tax credit, if folks are applying for it? It's early in tax season, but still.
It is. I will say this, there's a true concerted effort, public-private, to reach the 600,000 families who are eligible. And we know that most of them are from low-income communities, and we also know that through some of the service organizations that these families avail themselves of, that this is the way we're going to identify them. And they want to, and they will respond when they are dealing with an entity that they trust. So if they're getting services from a local organization. I
am so glad you said that.
If they're hearing about the program through their church, if they're hearing about the program through, perhaps a community center or child care center, more than likely they're going to come forward.
I was going to ask you, I remember a few years ago when the Affordable Care Act was rolling out.
Yes, absolutely.
We noticed early on that communities of color and or communities of less economic advantage were not applying.
Yes.
The ones that needed the Affordable Care Act the most.
Right.
And so what happened? Efforts were made to go into the communities, find community-based organizations to be the messenger. And so, healthcare is one thing, though. Taxes is another. It can spook people.
It can.
And let's remember, a lot of these folks may have come from oppressive regimes, governments. They may not be documented.
Right.
And I understand, is documentation relevant for these purposes?
Well, for the state credit, yes, absolutely. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible.
Not,
for the credit.
What about the federal? Do you know? I actually don't know.
Federal, I don't believe so.
Okay, but point well taken, though.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of layers to this.
Absolutely.
And so tell me more about the outreach.
So the outreach, we are engaging our community-based organizations. We are doing a lot over social media because, frankly, some of these families could be young income earners and resort to social media. We have been working with the faith community. We are there is a specific website just for the Cal EITC program, and we are. It's really all hands on deck in terms of the outreach.
Do you have a sense, when this is all done for this tax year, how will success be gauged?
I think success really has to be about how effective were we in bringing in those 600,000 families.
And with $380 million on the table, what do you hope that money does? Because obviously the goal is that it gets recycled into the economy.
And more than likely it will. It will. So, the families are eligible because this is an earned income tax credit. They're working. And so when they claim these dollars, we hope it will supplement their income to where they don't have to make a choice between keeping their heat on as opposed to buying medication. So it just helps to relieve the everyday burden of families. And what we do know is with the ability to claim both the state and the federal credit, we may even have these families start to save some of it. So we're hopeful of that.
Amen.
But this is a program where we hope that just by lessening that burden, that these tough choices don't have to be made by these families.
Her name is Betty Yee. She is the controller of the state of California. My name is Brad Pomerance. In Sacramento, this is Local Edition.